Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that is not. I'm Mike. We got Dave. We got Tookie. We are all here ready to talk about the horniest damn episode of Cheers you are going to see in this or any other lifetime. I had to smoke a cigarette after this episode. Holy God. We are going to be talking about season 5, episode 4. Abnormal psychology. I'm really I'm recovering from this.
Let me tell you, I watched this. The first time I watched it was Sunday night. I might or might not have taken an edible beforehand, and there was a not insignificant part of me that was like, "Did I just create this in my mind because it's what I want?"
It's astounding. It's really something. I mean, I think at some point they had to have just stopped and said, like, BB Newirth is so great. They were so funny in that one episode together. Hey, she's actually a stunningly beautiful woman. Can we do something with this? Yes, let's. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
It's Christopher Reeves level, like physical disguise work,
Yeah.
what she's doing to like repress every like sort of like element of softness in her body, and the costuming is doing an amazing job too. But I'm team BB Newirth for life.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with BB Newirth. I'm glad to see her getting a whole bunch of work, especially recently. She is Avis Devoto in
Julia.
Is Julia, yeah, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm enjoying that very much. I'm enjoying Julia.
Julia Child is like also a culinary sex goddess. So,
well put.
Do with that information what you will. It's also a subtly horny show, but I'm here for it.
It is, and it's been such a kick having like her and David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah.
Be together playing completely different characters. It's really been a time. But yeah, so we are in this episode. Do we want to cover Tookie's attacking me on Twitter before we recap the episode or after?
Maybe we'll deal with it up top, because I feel like the plot of this episode, though fun and well executed, was not like super duper substantial for us to get into.
Not complex, no.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm home. I'm opening up my Twitter. Oh, what's my good friend Tookie talking about? Oh, there was some kind of an experience. So now I'm like emotionally ungripped, and I have to find out what happened. And then here's how, like, the second tweet in the tweet thread. What you got to know about me up top is that I'm a dad magnet. Meaning dads / middle-aged white guys who wear New Balances and have spicy ethnic wives weirdly love me.
I promise it was not.
Jen could not breathe after reading that. I was wearing New Balance sneakers when I read that tweet because they're the only ones that don't hurt my feet. And so my reply was, good Lord, just write my name next time. And then, wait, no, I swear this wasn't describing you. I genuinely do think you're a cool dad status.
I do.
And I appreciate that. See, I didn't read that and think that, but it was so clearly me.
I was not even, like, it didn't register in my mind at all. The name Dorval did not cross my mind at all when I read. I was thinking about, like, every time. I don't know if I've ever told you about, like, how at least I want to say like a third of the shows that I do, there's always like a dad who comes up to me. Sometimes they'll like corner me. They'll find me and they're like, and like a good, I want to say like 10% of the, like the dads just want to talk to me after my set. Mm-hmm. And a good 10% of them will add in something like, my wife's Puerto Rican. She'd love you.
Yeah.
How does that help either of us?
It helps no one.
It helps no one.
It helps no one.
Oh, we are clinging to relevancy through our association with younger, smarter, better people.
Right?
I speak for the dads of America.
Oh,
Fingernails
yeah.
scratching on the surface of relevancy.
Yeah, so that's who that's who I'm talking about. But like, do we want to talk about the rest of the thread? Because that Lyft ride was.
Well, I don't want to make you, so because I know it was a whole thing. So you are certainly welcome to share. But I simply thought in the Norm universe, like that tweet had to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh God, did Jen roar when she read that? Like to the point where Kyle was like, "What's so funny?" Like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Oh, now I feel bad.
I
feel so bad.
It was so funny.
But also, hi, Jen.
She doesn't watch it. She doesn't watch anymore. That was another thing that happened. I was like, "Do you remember the episode where we talked about this?" And she's like, "No." This really is a podcast for us.
Okay.
But yes, if you would like to talk about the rest of your really weird experience, feel free.
It was, I'm stupidly easy to find on the internet. The thread is very much still up. It might eventually become a bit, but like, that's the handle. Follow at your own risk, honestly. But like, yeah, this Lyft ride was just so bizarre. Automatic 0 stars. Because this guy, I presumed would be a dad driver, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to hear a couple puns on the show. No, he goes into like this whole spiel about religion and spirituality and which, like, on the one hand, do you, but where he took it was just like, there's a whole thing about curing yeast infections. Yeah, it's, just read the thread. I don't want to spoil too much. It'll eventually make its way on stage, I'm sure. But yeah, for the most time, please and kindly, if you are so inclined to, send me $1 or $2 on Venmo for a copay for therapy after that, it's much welcome.
Support our Patreon. It's all going to Tookie's mental health.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. All right. Dave, did you have any trauma to share this week, or do we want to just dive into the episode?
No trauma this week.
Anything nice?
Living, you know what? Back in the rehearsal room, nice. Mm-hmm. That's been really fun.
Good.
Yay!
With a bunch of people talking about a play at great length. Didn't realize how enjoyable that kind of experience was. Nice to be back doing it.
Lovely. Lovely. What was the last play we did, Dave? Was it The Visit? Because I don't think we worked together second semester.
It was Dancing at Lunasa.
Oh, you are right.
Oh, wow. I read that.
Nailed it. Love that play.
Beautiful play.
Love that play. I would like to play that again in a professional setting. Love that. Yep. And I was proud of that production. I directed that one.
Yeah.
And
we kind of cobbled that all together, like the majors, and that was fun. That basically set the template for 90% of the work I've done since, which is, like, hey, we have access to a space and like $40. Can we put up a play?
Perfect. Perfection. All right. Good week. Oh, Dave and I are going to be partial season ticket holders again next year in the Red Sox. It's very exciting.
Ooh, yay.
Yeah, we were such marks for the salespeople. It was crazy.
Oh, well, how are we feeling about the C's though?
Good. They lost a tough game last night. The last game of a 3-game road trip. That happens. It just got out of hand. It's fine.
Okay. Because I don't want to say it feels like a flop season.
They're 3-1.
Yeah.
They're 3-1, and their first 3 wins were great, and they had a great start to last night, and then things just got out of hand, and that was such a classic "we're going home tonight" game. Things start to get out of hand. We're already up 3 games on this road trip. We're all done. I think they've looked great this season.
Okay.
The offense has looked spectacular.
Yeah.
I have some defensive concerns, but a healthy Rob Williams goes a long way towards dispelling a lot of those concerns.
It's true.
Tatum looks phenomenal.
Tatum is in the running for the MVP this year.
You think?
He was, player of the week last week. He just looks like he gets stronger every offseason. He adds something to his game. And I loved everything that he was saying, where he was just like, I couldn't even leave my house for a few days after the finals. I was so devastated. And, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Mm. And he's like, all I thought about this offseason was getting back. That's it. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Ignore your child and just work on your game. That's what I want from my players.
But as for the Sox.
Mm-hmm. Well, so our experience being complete marks for the sales industry was, so Dave and I split a 10-game pack this past season. Super fun. We were very far from home plate. It wasn't bad. We were in the right field roof boxes.
Okay.
And so we've been talking about trying to get a little bit closer this season. And they were doing an event at Fenway for season ticket holders where it's like you could go and you could see where all the available seats were. They had balloons tied up, and we got a picture taken with the trophy. We got in the dugout. It was very fun. And so we went, but we were both feeling like, you know what? Like, we found out as we were going that you could only buy the 20 game and up packs. And we're like, that's a bit much for us. I think 20 games is too much. We both agreed to that. But we said, but you know what? We're going to be here. We're going to get to see the trophy. We're going to do all this fun stuff. And we can ask them, because they're the salespeople. They'll be able to show us where the other 10-game pack seats are. And we'll be able to see if it's going to be worth it to move around. And so, but we were not going to get the 20-game pack. That was, like, we were fairly clear heading into it. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And so we get there, and we do all the fun stuff. And then we're looking at where some of the 20-game seats are. And we're like, oh, these are better than I was expecting. Oh, these are a little bit closer than I thought. Those are really good. And we're like, hey, so I know we can't do the 10-game pack re-up today, but we're kind of just trying to figure out, like, where would our other options be for the 10-game pack? And he was showing us where they were. And we're like, that's not great. It's not really angled to home plate. I don't know about that. We just kind of kept looking at these 2 seats on the left field wall.
We were that meme, with the guy and the girl, and like the 20-game pack was the ooh, and the 10-game pack was the,
Yeah, our 10-game pack just like hurt and offended at how little we respected it, and we just couldn't take our eyes off this 20-game pack pair of seats. They're in the field boxes. They're so good. They're angled right at home plate. And I was like, and honestly, I think we both had the same thought, which is, it's a good thing he's against doing this because I kind of want to do this. And we're both thinking that. And then at some point, I don't know who said it first. It was like, we could do the 20-game pack. And suddenly we were like handing over our credit card. No. And we were taking the balloon away from another guy looking at the 2 seats we wanted.
This poor, kindly old man who was considering those seats.
And fuck that guy. And we got him.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, and our sales guy, he was just doing the perfect Shelley the Machine Levine soft sell. And it's I wouldn't think about making you guys buy any tickets you're not comfortable with. No, sir. But if you do get these, here are the benefits.
This guy.
Yeah. Yep. So next year, there's a very good chance Dave and I are going to be the people who are like, who needs tickets to Fenway on Thursday? So get yourself ready.
Might be. I may drag a certain someone.
Oh, very nice.
I may.
If
I
you
may.
take Mr. T to the game, you'll be very, very delighted.
Yeah, because I don't think he's been to one, if I recall correctly.
Ever?
I don't think so. I know his dad is a Sox fan. Yeah, I know his dad is a Sox fan, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll put a pin in that.
Okay. All right. It's really fun going to Fenway. I gotta say, like that was one of the nice experiences of the past year was taking Kyle and him getting a huge, like especially the night games. He could take or leave a day game. He thought night games were the greatest thing to ever happen. He was so happy, and so much of that at 9 is just I'm staying up late.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big part of it, but still, it's really cool being there.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun. You'd think we were getting paid for this podcast.
Yeah, really. It is in fact the opposite.
Yes.
This is a labor of love. This is a passion project.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of passion,
nicely done.
Shall we delve into the white hot eroticism of season 5, episode 4, Abnormal Psychology? Dave, when a surge in pregnancies was about to start, what was going on in the world?
Thursday, October 16th, 1986. On this day, recorded were 2 concerts at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, Missouri. Birthday concerts featuring rock and roll legend Chuck Berry. Concerts organized by Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards and featuring an all-star band and a number of heavy-hitting guest stars. These concerts were later chronicled in the documentary released in 1987, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, one of my favorite concert films / docs ever. Just a really, really fun watch. Chuck Berry's incredible trailblazing and also incredible problematic behavior is addressed in very sideways fashion. And a lot of stuff that hadn't come to light yet will certainly come to light in the intervening years. But I was obsessed with this film as a teenager. I also like it feels very of its time because I remember in the 80s like there was this like whole concern of how does rock and roll get older? Like everybody kept saying like, oh, the Rolling Stones can't keep playing when they're 40, can they? And you know what is like how does music that's derived or created specifically for youth culture and meant to be disposable, how do artists like continue like making it? And it was this weird thing that like I feel like we spent like the whole 80s and kind of wrestling with before everybody decided like, oh, people just make music and it's fine, who cares? But this was kind of like one of those like a little bit of a hallmark moment of like, oh look, rock and roll can sort of age in a way and still have worth and value, and it doesn't have to be disposable. So I'll put a plug in for Hail Rock and Roll as if nothing else, a really kind of amazing documentary film.
Very nice. All right. I think it's on one of the streamers too. I feel like I just went by that not that long ago. Don't hold me to that. But if you go to justwatch.com, you can put in Hail Hail Rock and Roll and find out where that doc would be playing. Yeah, Just Watch has become my go-to, like always archived website. Like, all right, who's got this movie now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, always.
Thanks to Just Watch, you know what we found that's on HBO Max, so I can do some more homework.
Mm-hmm. What'd you find? Boomerang is on there. Oh, you gotta watch Boomerang. You gotta watch Boomerang.
I'm trying to get him to do it, but he's like, oh, it's only got 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, because white people, they didn't get it.
White people. To tell him on behalf of the whites, it's a great movie. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, no, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. And it was one of those I was really happy I rewatched because it was better than I remembered. Now you have to know it's an Eddie Murphy comedy, and some parts are going to age a little rough because it's an '80s comedy.
Right.
And I mean, Eddie always would. It was almost like something in Eddie made him in every movie put in something that would go, look, in 20 years, this isn't going to be good. But it's like he knew it was going to happen and had to put it in there and had to put one uncomfortable moment in just to satisfy future Eddie. I don't know what it is. Like just the banana scene in Beverly Hills Cop that's out of nowhere, and like in Boomerang the death scene. Yeah.
No. Oh, spoilers.
Yeah. Well, you don't know anything about that though, so I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
It's not even a scene; it's one joke.
Okay.
Where you're just like,
all right.
So
Banana Man was so. Why? It was stressful to watch.
Yeah, it was just, hey, here's a really funny guy. He does a funny gay voice. Let's throw him in here. Yeah. Which on some level, I always appreciated about Eddie Murphy that when he saw a funny person, he's like, I'm just going to put them in my movie. You're just going to be in my movie here to do something, and you're going to be funny. Like Louis Anderson talked about that, where he's like, yeah, Eddie just liked me, and so suddenly I was the guy in Coming to America, and people asked me about it for 30 years. I was just the fry guy, and just gave me this little speech that people remembered. Yeah. I mean, Louis. Yeah, R.I.P. Louis, like just Martin Lawrence. Like Martin was not a guy until he said, I mean, David Allen Greer was a legit, he did a lot of movies when he did Boomerang. Martin Lawrence had not done a lot, and you could tell it was just Eddie Murphy going, I like that guy, you get to be in my movie. And I mean, that was a full part. That wasn't a dragged in scene, but yeah. Like, and Eddie's got faults, but I always really respected that for him. He was never a guy who forgot about, like, supporting people that he believed in.
Yeah, that has a little Tyler Perry energy in it, but a little less malicious in terms of the whole Medea-fying of it all. That's going to get me canceled in 5 years. I know it.
I have no commentary upon it.
I'm just, you know what? At one point, we all thought it was over because there was, Medea's funeral. But in just a few years, I'm just bracing for Tyler Perry presents Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry's as Tyler Perry's Medea St. Patrick's Day. I just, it's, yeah. But he cares about the community.
He does.
There's that.
He does.
I've never seen a Medea film, and I'm probably going to just continue that streak.
Yeah. Nor have I, but you gotta respect a man who just took his pen and became a billionaire. You gotta admire that on some level. Like there was no, seed money, there was no investment. It was literally just, I'm gonna keep writing until I'm a billionaire.
And he started in the theater.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That was a friend of mine, a black woman, told us, like she was in early on Tyler Perry. And I remember her saying, like, when we saw white people in the audience, we're like, oh, Tyler's getting rich. Because there was this moment that she talks about where she's like, Tyler used to just do stuff around, and it was very much black people knew Tyler Perry. This is, for a long time, no one knew Tyler Perry. And then some people knew Tyler Perry. And then, like, we all knew Tyler Perry. And then suddenly white people knew Tyler Perry. And the world shifted.
Yeah.
Yep. But Tyler, you're doing it. Good for you.
Get at us, Tyler Perry.
Yeah, pick an episode, my friend.
This is technically a partially black-owned podcast, so.
100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And our board of directors would have it no other way, Mr. Perry. All right, Tookie, what happened in this week's Cold Open?
Very brief cold open, but totally related to the rest of the episode. So we enter the bar, and Cliff and Norm and Woody and every bar patron is watching along as this like ad for a fishing tournament, I guess, is on the TV, and it's for getting out to Lake Winnipesaukee.
Well, it was like one of those weekly fishing shows, like the Mad
Yeah,
Fisherman on Nesson, or just back in the day. For whatever reason, there has always been on cable room for a once weekly show where it's just a couple of guys fishing in New England. It goes back forever. You got Bassmasters, you got it all.
yeah.
It was before the fishing community was thrown into controversy with weighted fish.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh, Tookie, you gotta find.
Have you not heard about this?
I recently learned about that chess scandal with the beads that go a certain
Yes.
place. But fishing?
Yeah. There's fishing tournaments where you can win a lot of money. And these two guys who had been on this hot streak got caught putting weights in their fish. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to look this up online. Oh, my goodness.
Captured the moment that the weights were revealed, and it caused a lot of uproar at the contest. And there's a podcast I love called Hang Up and Listen, Slate podcast, sports podcast, where Joel Anderson, one of the co-hosts, commented upon hearing the audio of the uproar after the discovery of the whites. said something to the effect of, the audio sounds suspiciously like a January 6th recording. Just a lot of white men aggrieved about something.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
I mean, if you took the audio out of the fish video and put it underneath the riots, there would not be a part of you going like, "Oh, this doesn't sound right."
It would sit comfortably.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's there. It's just that at least this time their grievances are real. Those weights were there.
Right.
Yeah.
That is okay. I know what I'm doing with my afternoon.
There you go. Look it up.
So the guys are the Every Bar patron essentially is watching this ad for fishing at Lake Winnipesaukee, and Cliff is like, "Hey, that's something there." And Woody says, "Oh, well, if you ask me, there's something wrong about watching televised fishing." And Norm quips, "Oh, it's not the same as watching it live, huh, Woody?" And Woody just pops up. He says, "Hey, I something? I've got a great idea. What's to stop us from taking a little fishing trip of our own?" And Cliff is like, "Well, we don't want to go." But Woody's trying to sell them on it, and Norm is like, "Well, let's get organized there." So Woody, you're in charge of bait and tackle. Cliffy, you're in charge of food and transportation. And Woody asks, "Well, what are you in charge of, Mr. Peterson?" And he says, "Finding a reason not to go." And as he's looking through the newspaper, he says, "Here we go. Gladiator Film Festival at the Majestic." And then Cliff and Norm just bump. They say something in Latin and then do a gladiator march out the door, roll credits. But I have to say, the opening, the cold open, had two very Boston moments for me, which is Lake Winthrop, real place in Holliston, Mass, and the Majestic Theater in Watertown.
Do you think that was the theater they were referencing?
I would like to think.
Yes.
I would like to think. So that feels like a very Boston moment to me.
Nice. Yeah, the first thought I had was the Cutler Majestic. But I can't imagine that was ever a movie house. Although 35 years ago, that was a very different area.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so good pull on the Watertown. I was not even thinking about that as an option, but it makes a lot of sense. And then, but it also makes me go like, all right, where are you getting a boat from on this short notice? I think you need a boat, don't you?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you could be fishing off the side at a lake, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so this is our fishing story is sort of our C story this week. I'm debating whether or not we have an A, B, and C, or if the A and B are just so intertwined, and then we've got the C fishing tale over here because the boys didn't have enough to do. So basically, very quickly, the fishing storyline is not much of a storyline. They go off, they go to the Gladiator flick, they come back, Woody is getting everything ready to go fishing. They are arguing about finding anachronisms in Gladiator movies, and yeah, they have a contest to see who catches the most. And yeah, Norm is saying, no, that was there. It's like, hey, he was not wearing Reeboks, which was my 80s moment of the week, when Reeboks had this tiny moment in time where they were the top sneaker brand.
Loved
and
Reeboks.
it went away so fast. But there was this brief moment in the mid 80s where Reeboks were on top. We miss you guys. We miss you. So eventually, Cliff and Norm give in. All right, I think he's just worn us down. We're going to have to go fishing. They go fishing together. Yeah, Woody's got everything. He's got the beer in the car. He's got a portable TV. I love, oh my gosh, we've got a portable TV in the car. And I remember watching that and thinking that's the most amazing thing ever. But again, I am just sort of wondering about the practicality of it. Like, where did Woody get a car? It's Sunday. Where did he get a portable TV? Like, how did all this come together? But it's fine. Woody just does Woody things. And he gets them. They go fishing. They come back. Woody and Norm are annoyed with Cliff, who's the only one who caught a fish, comes in with, of course, a very tiny fish. And that was the experience. And it's just an opportunity for them to make a lot of jokes at each other's expenses. But they were fun jokes. Mm-hmm. All right. The main storyline. So there is a side part of the main storyline. Sam has tickets that somebody left to a flautist concert on the flute. And saying, I thought that you would enjoy that. Diane, very much in love with Sam, is saying, oh, what a wonderful thing for us to do together. She's flirting. He's not going. She's flirting. He's not going. It's just this little running thread throughout the rest of the show. Finally, she is going to the concert. She's talking about how sad she is that he's not coming, but she knows that they're going to be together. Finally, Carla yells at him, and he says, I'm going to go, and they go to the concert together, and it is amusing. This is all happening during the main story, where we've got a main Frasier story this week. We've got Frasier and Lilith giving us a preview of the future, where we are going to have them together as the steamiest, funniest professionals in the world. Frasier comes in. He's going to be making an appearance on Psychology this week. So he is dressed to the nines. He's looking great. Finds out that the doctor he was originally supposed to be debating on Psychology today can't do it, has been replaced by Lilith Sternin. Somehow this woman that he's only ever had one date with is remembered by everyone in the bar by name. Hey, Lilith Sternin, Lilith. And they all remember it, and oh, she's the worst. She comes in, they have a hysterical fight with each other where they're not actually yelling, and everyone is saying, are they fighting? And it was very, very well done. And you're just looking at this, like that is the scene, as hysterical as the TV appearance is. To me, the scene that told you this is the relationship that is going to be happening more, this is a character that they're going to have to keep here, is when they are debating each other. It's so good. Just the sparks are flying. You can hear that they hear each other's timing perfectly, that they know exactly how to set the other one up, that they know how to get the laugh. It's so well done.
Yeah.
They debate to the point where, of course, Frasier is saying, I will appear on this show. There's rage, there's heat. He leaves. Diane is convinced that this is because he is secretly very attracted to this woman and that she is attracted to him. And that's where these sparks are coming from, because Diane doesn't have healthy issues with love. She sees conflict and she's saying, oh, it's the classic, he's picking on you because he really likes you. Look, there's Diane issues all over this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot going on here that makes me go like, oh, Diane, you need to get out of this place. Oh, Diane. Anyway, she decides to talk to Lilith. She's saying, oh, I think he likes you, and we could soften your look here a little bit, and we could do this. She goes back home. They do a whole My Fair Lady Pygmalion moment, which is even directly referenced later on. The TV show begins. Lilith comes on looking like $1,000,000, just looking fantastic. And Kelsey Grammer, his reaction is so good. Just immediately, cannot stand up anymore. He's so taken with Lilith. And then one of my favorite scenes in Cheers history, it's in the top 5, where this moment where they are talking about psychological treatments in the most ridiculously over-the-top sexual way. To hear Kelsey Grammer say the word thrusting, it's simultaneously brilliant and scarring.
Yeah.
It's really great, and I love my unsung hero for this episode is the moderator,
Oh,
just
fabulous.
reacting to this happening. Like, what am I? Is this? I've never had this before. It's just great, and I loved having everybody at the bar getting ridiculously turned on by this scene. The stuff that Ted Danson and Shelley Long are doing as they're intertwining their hands and they're all watching. And then, yeah, having to get the transcript of this episode of Psychology This Week. Frasier comes in later on saying they would have hosed us down. Everyone noticed it. Lilith comes in. She's got her hair in the bun again. She has to contain the power. Diane, and they're bickering again, and Diane asks for a hairpin to open the refrigerator. And the Pavlovian response, she takes her hair out, brings her hair out, and immediately Frasier cannot control himself anymore. She jumps into his arms. They go back to this townhouse, and that is the true beginning of Lilith and Frasier. It was quite a week. It was really randy. But well done. I thought it was so funny. I loved having an episode that focused on Frasier and Lilith. I was like, oh yeah, this is beta testing Lilith and Frasier, and it works so well.
Fun fact: the writer of this episode, Janet Leahy, Emmy nominated for this episode.
Very nice, Janet Leahy.
Totally
You deserved
deserved.
it. Yeah, this episode really it made a mark on the national consciousness where you're like, okay, yeah, these are characters that are going to last. Like people talked about this the next day, how good this episode was. It was something. It was something. Yeah. So your initial thoughts, Tookie, aside from the worthy Emmy nomination for Janet Leahy.
It explains a lot about how the millennial generation was made, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the sitcom equivalent of a Boys to Men album.
It really is, yeah. You would just put this episode on in the background and light the candles and let nature take its course.
Yeah, 87% of millennials were born exactly 10 months after October 16th, 1986.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting to see if there was a baby boom in July of 87.
Huh. We'll see. We can check the data on that.
We can. All right. Let's do some categories. Joke of the week. There were a lot of candidates for me this week that I really, really loved. But I had to do when Lilith does the three. Oh, thank you. I haven't had such a good laugh in a long time. I couldn't stop. It was so funny. It was so brilliant. And I think part of me just loves that I've always loved that moment, but also just knowing like what a big personality BB Newirth is, this musical theater star, this Broadway star, and legitimately funny woman. And like that was really her first introduction to the world at large, was this woman who would have that laugh line. It was so great. So good. Yeah, Dave, what was your joke of the week?
I was just going to say, it's so brilliant that they decided to cast someone. Because they really cast against type. Like,
yes,
they cast Lilith Sternin in the TV show, and then buttoned her up, and which just, it makes for so much fun, that transformation.
Yeah,
I don't know. Everything at the TV show is so dirty and really made me laugh. I'll go with I'll take a grateful laugh at the end when Kelsey Grammer looks at her and he's finally decided, she's taking her hair down and he says, "I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to kiss you hard. I'm going to kiss you long." And I'm like, oh God, he's going to we've seen so many instances of men forcing themselves on women in this bar, and then to flip it and have her instigate the kiss, and they finish and he says, "Oh, yes, just like that."
Yes,
that was my. I'll take that as the moment, followed up by then the leap into his arms.
Good stuff. Tookie, your joke of the week.
Uh, Same scene as yours when Diane approaches Lilith, like, Lilith, let me help you. And Lilith just says, who are you? That, I cackled. Cackled.
Absolutely.
The delivery was just so, we stand BB Newworth.
It's such a great delivery. It's such a great moment in the script and a meta moment where they're sort of acknowledging the absurdity of the sitcom premises where we've met once and now I'm going to help you and be a big part of your life. Who are you? Yeah. How in the world do you think this has anything to do with you? It's a great moment.
Yeah.
Great moment.
It's such a great Diane moment too, because it's like, this is not out of character for the Diane that we've seen for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Like one more Janet Leahy moment of love. Like she knew these characters very well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a writer who I felt like really got everybody in a good way. She got everybody's id perfectly. Yeah. It was really fun. Dave, your 80s thing of the week.
Yeah, Reeboks was the first one that jumped out to me. I'm gonna go with all right, honorable mention to an extra in the bar who's wearing like an embroidered vest, a white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and a skinny black tie. The vest is buttoned. He looks like the guy who was probably like the second keyboard player for Huey Lewis in the News. It's just an amazing look, and one that, like, if you put it on now, you'd be like, you're making fun of the 80s, but it was true and earnest, and I loved it.
Yeah, he was the guy who got replaced just before sports.
Exactly. Yeah, he's writing the tell-all. I guess for my legit moment, I'll pick the layout of that show, of that psychology show. You know, those like steel and upholstered chairs. You know, like the symmetry. Like, we're not in the couch era yet. We're still in this sort of like vaguely Dick Cavity kind of like, hey, let's just like have a conversation in comfortable-ish looking chairs. Like, I don't know, that the look of that studio and the single, you know, that single set with absolutely nothing else around it to anchor it, felt very 80s to me. So I'll go with that.
Nice. Tookie, your 80s moments.
I clocked the bisexual lighting, as we call it these days, of the Psychology This Week set. Just like that purpley bluish hue.
Interesting.
That was pretty ubiquitous. But that's what the kids are calling it these days.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like, you see, like,
you young people.
Well, no, because, like, you know, streaming and podcast backgrounds have certain hues that people use, and they're kind of a trope now, but they call it like bisexual lighting for some silly reason. Carla saying that Sam used to watch that show until the hostess with the big Hindenburgs left. Yeah, so not a ton of 80s moments this week. The other one, when is the last time the Pats played the Raiders? I haven't checked that.
Oh, semi-regularly. I mean, they're not in the same division, but they're in the same conference. So it does come up. They're playing this year.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of like Patriots fans who have been talking about making that road trip to Vegas to go and see that game. Also because their head coach is our former offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels.
Gotcha. Okay.
But at this point in time, they would have been the LA Raiders.
Right.
Yeah. They were the Oakland Raiders, then the LA Raiders, then Oakland again, and now the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. They bounced around, but it just, that leapt out at me as something like, interesting, the Raiders. And then lastly, an extra as well, who I noticed in, I believe, scene 3, who had, how do I describe this hair? It was very big. It was very blonde. It was hairsprayed and teased to the gods. It was massive. So if you go back and look at the third scene, she's sitting on the far back corner of the bar, like when you get to the piano, and she has kind of like a gray situation on. And I just could not stop staring at her hair. It was so like Debbie Harry on 12. So those are my moments.
There's a lot of good looks in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of big hair, Sam had Sam's hair was getting a little out of control in this one. Am I the only one who caught that?
It was a little
Voluminous.
fluffy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost like he added some extra for concussion protection. It was really a lot to the point where it made me go, I wonder if this is when the toupee era started.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Like it really, when you look at it now, you go, Jesus.
Yeah, that hair was compensating for something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was wondering if it was the toupee era or if it was just the bald spot was starting and they were like, grow more and we can cover it.
Oh, wow.
I suspect that's where we're at right now. You grow more and we can cover this up.
Yeah, because it is styled.
Heavily styled. All right, Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Okay. A lot of repeat extras this episode. In the cold open, we had a black man in the upper booth, a black man by the jukebox, a black man who enters from the hallway, and an Asian man behind Norm. And then in scene 1, all 5 of them are reused. Then there's an Asian woman in green by the piano, a black woman on the phone behind Frasier, a black woman in blue at the piano. I love that dress. An Asian man on the jukebox side of the bar, and then a black woman who steps down from the booth behind Diane. And then scene 2, the Asian woman is reused. Then there's a black woman by the bar, a black like everybody who's watching TV in the Psychology Today when Diane switches it from the game. So a black woman by the bar, a black man with glasses at the bar, who we never see again. He had like a glasses mustache situation. And he just disappears after that scene. And then a reused extra again at the bar. And the host, I believe, is a person of color. Couldn't.
Yeah, I was really waiting for your judge's call on that one.
Yeah, possibly Asian, but I read them as a person of color, no less. So I'm counting the host. Scene 3,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say Richard Herkert is the host, and he's got a number of film credits which seem to indicate, based on the characters' names, that he is very likely Japanese.
All right. So I don't know the exact. Yeah, I don't know his exact heritage, but we'll say a person of color. We will count him. Scene 3, everybody's reused. Scene 4, we've got all 13 reused, and then another Asian man at the bar, an ethnic man. We will call him another ethnic possible person of color behind.
The Amazon guy's here.
Okay. Who comes up to it's not Sam, Frasier, and pats Frasier on the back and calls him a sex machine. And then another black man and black woman at the bar, but who are reused extras. So 15 people of color, if not counting the reused people.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
Our thoughts on this week's. I loved it both times. It had that weird like vibe that I wasn't quite used to with Cheers, but it worked. It was so good. I cracked up each time. Like, to me, this is a real like landmark episode. I think about this one. I go back to it. It's the incredible introduction of a beloved character that will be in our lives for 30 years, really. It's really something. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. And it even, as it was happening, it furthered along what was happening with Sam and Diane. There were good lines for everybody who didn't have big story points. There were funny jokes. It was good stuff. Like, there was nobody who I thought just got left out of this episode. It was a really, really good one.
It's nice to have the presence of sexual attraction that's not directly connected to Sam. Especially, you know, obviously Sam's not a wordsmith. You know, that character's not particularly loquacious. So having Lilith and Frasier engage in this extended double entendre in the psychology conversation about how they would treat someone was just really, really fun, and a flavor like the show doesn't get to like when Sam talks about sex, it's you know, it's how we know how Sam talks about sex, and it can be funny, and it can also be a little bit off-putting. It was fun to hear it couched in this way, and it felt like, I don't know, yeah, it felt yeah, like it plays better still in 2022 than perhaps some of the other sex jokes that we've heard prior.
I think that's a fair statement.
Definitely.
Yeah, what do you think, Tookie?
Emmy nod.
Yeah, I think so too. This is an Emmy-worthy episode. This is one that would have gotten submitted to the board. Said like, all right, this is what we do, and this is when we felt we were doing it the best. Yep. It was a really, really good episode of Cheers. Just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Not nothing too problematic in it. It's aged well. I just enjoyed it.
I do feel a little sad for Diane. Like this, I think this whole season leaves me feeling like a little sad for Diane because she is so deep. It's not a delusion. I mean, I do think like clearly Sam loves her, but like the work she has to do in her mind to justify all of her choices is is clear. It's someone in distress. It can be like it's maybe a little less fun than Diane has been prior.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I understand what you guys are talking about, and obviously I referenced the idea that we need to get into Diane's pathology a little bit, in that he says he hates you, that means he loves you. Obviously there's some stuff going on here. That being said, her interactions with Sam, while I understand they could be read that way, I always feel like she keeps her power in those interactions simply because of her absolute confidence. It's like, look, I know you're in love with me. Like, you poor thing, and I understand I rejected you in this moment of panic because of Janet, and that your pride is really hurt, and you're worried about being vulnerable with me again. And I feel like she's just coming over the top with confidence and saying, I get that you're nervous. You don't have to be. It's us. We are happening. I love you, and we are going to get married. It doesn't bother me the way that she's coming at this, because I feel like she's in control of it. And that keeps it from becoming sad or desperate for me. It's not, please love me. It's, I know you love me. Just accept it. And I'm sorry I made you feel, I made you feel rejected. You're not. I love you. It's to me, it's very different from someone pining away for someone. It's someone confident in someone's love for them. And it keeps it from being an uncomfortable thing for me. There are uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
But as an arc, it doesn't bother me.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah. Where I'm coming down on Sam and Diane this season. And I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying their interactions this season. Like, you couldn't do it for more than half a season, but for the half a season that they chose to play it this way, they're making it work. I like it.
Yeah, it's bringing out an interesting dimension in Sam too. The way Ted Danson is playing, this kind of like, I want to keep you. He's like, it's just so easeful. Like, he's not trying to keep her at arm's length. He clearly does have some sort of feeling for her. He does, even if it's just like he cares about her as a human.
Right.
He can be very like kind to her, while at the same time like still expressing the fact that he's disappointed about or that he's not going to like fall for her.
Yeah. Like, these tickets just didn't randomly occur.
You don't.
Sam made those happen.
Okay.
I mean, at some point, like, people don't just randomly leave tickets to a flute concert at the bar. Like, somebody who was there earlier was saying, "Oh, I've got these tickets, I can't use them," and Sam's like, "Oh, Diane would love that. Oh, I need to get these tickets for her." Yeah.
Okay.
They don't get left on the bar.
Okay. I can get behind that. I see the logic there. I took it for what it was on its surface, where it was like, oh, just someone left them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's more there.
Okay.
There's more there.
I'm on board with that.
All right. Very good episode to the folks at Cheers this week. Do we have anything to plug, kids?
I'll be in Chelsea this Thursday.
Very nice. What show is happening in Chelsea?
Chelsea City Collective. They've been putting on shows at a nice place called Tu Casa, right in the middle of the city center. So I'm featuring alongside headliner Emily Raskowski, Boston favorite.
What a lovely evening. That'll be a great time.
Yeah.
That's a very funny show. Everyone should go and catch that. Mm-hmm. Good time. Dave, you had a successful show this past weekend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna take this weekend off. You can't find me anywhere this weekend.
Perfect. I remain hidden from the world, aside from my occasional hostage-like podcast videos. So here I am. This is where you can get me, and nowhere else. Until I'm allowed out of the bunker again. I'm Mike. That's Dave. That's Tookie, and we will see you next week for a substantially less erotic episode of Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. Stay safe, everybody.